Greetings. Hey, it's Susie Q. We're working again with the River of Being, and you can find this material through awakenow.org. It's a parable for the spiritual journey. And so we're going to be focusing on above the waterfall and moving into visiting the space above the falls. I love doing this work. All right. So again, it is, so it is awakenow.org, and take a look at it because this is kind of a parable for the salmon, or the spiritual journeys. Pretty fantastic. So we'll start now. Visiting the space above the falls. When you have had an immersive, blissful, magical experience, there is a good chance you were visiting the space above the waterfall of being. The experience is always known as being in the zone. In that space, you have amazing clarity and expansive awareness. You are in the flow and everything unfolds with ease. You realize you're performing beyond your normal human construct. You experience the space above the waterfall of being in these moments when you expand into harmony with life, when you feel no need to change or control anything, when your mind is quiet and your heart is full, when you are joyful about letting the moment be as it is. The moment may be a peak experience, such as holding a new baby, enjoying the wonder of nature, facing death, being in love, or feeling transported by art. In that moment, you feel uncontained in your body and you lose track of time and place. One aspect of visiting being means you are not aware of how you got there, how to stay, or how to return. Because the feeling is so fulfilling, you want to recreate the experience. You listen to the same piece of music or attend the same workshop again. You hike the same trail or try to remember what it felt like to be in love. The spiritual journey involves graduating from visitor status. It involves learning to stabilize above the falls without being pulled up, entranced, and entrained by rituals, scenery, or something else's energy. It involves consciously connecting with being, regardless of external conditions, so that you live permanently above the waterfall of being. Now we're moving into living above the falls, a quiet place. When you consciously wake up to the waterfall of being, you have overcome many challenges. You have put in the work so that you are no longer a visitor. Take time to refresh your energy so you can learn new ways of being. For example, you will learn how to avoid being hooked and ensnared by your old life. An experienced guide can help you reflect, adjust, and avoid the common pitfalls. Above the falls, whole new vistas open to you, and you feel a sense of joy and fulfillment. All right, so we're moving into new ways of being. So fun. All right. In this parable, the further below the falls you are, the more your personal self is in charge of your life. Your personal self is ruled by your human senses and is only aware of living in this world where things appear and disappear. The further you progress beyond the falls, the more you allow being to unfold and emerge through you. Being brings you the joy of existence and the awareness of oneness. Below the falls, you are motivated by your wants, needs, emotions, and moods. You are driven by your beliefs and your desire for others to believe as you do. You react to life to protect yourself and to avoid being further wounded. Above the falls, you are not attached to stories about being a victim or being unworthy. The result is you allow life to unfold organically. You no longer struggle to hide, defend, impose, or fight for human limitations. Instead, your actions proceed from your awareness of health, wholeness, joy, clarity, grace, and the availability of resources, which results in harmony. The key activity that allows you to live above the waterfall of being is honesty. Being honest with yourself about who you are and your relationships with being. Your attention is no longer on your individual self. Instead, it is on a field of operation, which is the space where you exist in relationships and are open to possibilities. Living above the waterfall of being is often referred to as an enlightenment. We use a term embeingment to emphasize consciously allowing being to operate through you. You are conscious of creating results through actions and relationships. You stop focusing on your individual limitations and connect with oneness. The more we progress, the more responsible we become. We are responsible for living in integrity with being. After getting acclimated, you either stay near the waterfall where you assist other travelers or you continue the journey. When you continue, you discover that the current in this section of the river is not as difficult as it was below the falls, although it does present its own challenges. Now, however, you have developed the strength and the understanding to navigate effectively. Even though you have progressed in consciousness, you must still learn and exercise discernment to avoid pride and other pitfalls. So we're moving into oneness in action. When you discard ineffective patterns and habits, you enter into a new life. Most importantly, to live above the waterfall of being, you transcend the duality that is fundamental characteristics of this universe. You transcend the true, false, right, wrong, conservative, progressive, good, bad conversations that people have below the falls. These conversations dissolve in oneness as you progress. In other words, personal stories about what is right and wrong and good and bad are irrelevant beyond our individual notions. You realize that everyone is experiencing their own relative reality and that this is not a problem to be solved. With your higher perspective, you perceive wholeness and include polarities as well as the space in between. Above the falls, instead of focusing on having truth, you focus on effective action. Everything is energy, and you direct energy to promote well-being. You direct energy towards fulfilling your duties and responsibilities, to being who you came to be, to supporting existence, to progressing in consciousness. You focus on bringing light to darkness. Instead of operating as a limited human being, you begin operating as a divine being, experiencing the universe of appearances. As you become aware of the infinite and eternal, you release attachments to gods and religions that are projections of humans' personalities. This includes gods who have value judgments about who is worthy and who is unworthy. You realize that oneness diversifies into being, creating the myriad of expressions we see, such as you, me, worlds, and galaxies. You realize that oneness, source, eternal consciousness is unlimited and unbounded. It just is forever without boundaries. You realize that you are responsible for your actions, which includes your thoughts and your conversations. You learn that language is generative, that we create with language and begin choosing conversations with care and consciousness. This includes conversations with yourself. You learn to develop your conscious and live by spiritual laws or laws of being. You learn to focus on universal principles instead of getting enthralled by the personalities of teachers and leaders. You begin operating as a divine, expressing as actions and relationships. Awesome. All right, so this is a kind of a really a neat way of kind of processing, what's happening with me and what level am I at and what else do I need to know to understand to be more consciously awake. And I think that's really what it is that we're just kind of going deeper with some of these parables, the parable of the spiritual journey. It's all about the river of being. And all of these things are showing up for the salmons. You know, so I always say it's the parable of the salmons. So I think that's it for now. We'll see you soon, and namaste.